Hello everyone, Vanguard of Valor here, and welcome back to another episode of 80 Days. We're currently aboard a mysterious floating village, about to go on a nice little exploration after being proven not guilty by the Council of Elders here. A much nicer change than the council up in the Arctic, but so it goes. Where shall we begin, we say to Madame Fire Thunder? Right here, the woman motioned at me to follow her as she spoke. Monsieur Fogg, alas, declined to accompany us. This is the central reservation, where we grow some of the food required to feed our population. Most of the important landmarks, too. The council house, the rainwater reservoir. Many members of the Sioux tribes live here, as well as honored guests, such as yourself. Are you self-sustaining? I asked, looking around eagerly. Not quite, she admitted, but the temporary settlements on the outskirts. She pointed to the outlines of the airships and balloons docked together in the distance. Often break away to trade and return with new supplies and skills. Why do you call them temporary? I asked. They look as though they've been part of the village for some time. To my surprise, Madame Fire Thunder blushed. You're right. The council thinks that the central reservation is the most important part of the village, but everyone is necessary to us. I returned to Monsieur Fogg late in the day, my head rattling with Madame Fire Thunder's words, and thinking of all the interlocking pieces that built a community. That was a shorter tour than I was expecting. Alright. We're making good time. We're at 50 days so far, all the way around to Quebec City. No news for us today, though. It zipped past. The floating village actually stopped a fair distance away from Quebec City. A lone airship detached with a mechanical grind and sailed grandly towards the city's airship dock. Excuse me. Are we being announced like a dowager duchess? I asked with some asperity. We're making sure it's safe, Madame Fire Thunder said seriously, eyes tracking the airship's progress. They'll signal us to approach. You seem nervous. I followed the airship along with her. Anxiousness was catching, so it seemed. Yes, she tensed even further. The Northwest is unsettled. There are rumors of a Cree and Assiniboine rebellion, and I hear Louis Riel is up to his old tricks as well, stirring up the Métis. The council thinks it may come to war with the government. Can you not negotiate? What do we have that the government wants? And besides, her face twisted in a grimace, they have their tame Indians in the Blackfoot Confederacy. They don't need any more. Just then, a flare went up over Quebec City. It was safe to approach. Madame Fire Thunder watched over us until we disembarked, waving us off aboard a smaller airship with a smile. We landed shortly afterwards, and a First Nations woman in the red-jacketed uniform of the Northwest Canadian Mounted Police checked our papers and ushered us into the hangar, declaring, "Welcome to Quebec City, gentlemen." We've made it after all. What do you know? Well, let's explore Quebec City and see what paths are open to us here. From here, we can head north again, it seems, if we want to. Interesting, we can make our way over to Reykjavik. Unlike Paris, which is bisected by the Seine, Quebec sprawled over the north bank of the St. Lawrence River. Ah, mes amis, there is something about a city on a river that fills me with yearning, and hearing French, even a strange, lilting sort of French, spoken all about me, did not help in the least. We toured the Chateau Frontenac, a luxury hotel built for Canadian Pacific Railway customers. It was built over the old chateau, which had housed the British colonial governors of Quebec not so long ago. Monsieur Fogg insisted I take a cup of tea with him, though I had barely placed the cup to my lips when he snapped open his ledger. Very good, Passepartout. East? Well, let's check the market first, see if we have anything good here. Not much to sell, it looks like. That may be a problem. I might sell our cotton flour here so we make a little bit of money. And perhaps our fur coat. We have fur-lined boots as well, but I think our fur coat in Ushanka gives us plenty of warm weather protection. I think we sell the cotton flour here at the very least. I don't think it'll do us much good at this point. Nor the driving goggles, but so be it. So it will be. Alright. We could buy some fur-lined boots, but I think we have plenty of warm weather gear. If we look to depart... Interesting. We could make our way to Reykjavik now, but it's far too expensive for us. Oh, wow. The meteorological airship departs for Nanortalik tomorrow at 8 a.m. Oh, you already missed the time to choose to go to Reykjavik. It just left. It's a hot air balloon, though. It's very expensive. If instead we take the much cheaper path to Nanortalik, we might be able to take something else to make it the rest of the way. We're almost there, although our journey has been a very unusual one so far. That is to say, they all are. If we head to Nanortalik, we leave tomorrow at 8 a.m. and we arrive there tomorrow, so we may be able to make some more steps towards making our way back to London. We're on day 51 now, so we have plenty of time. I think this is our option. It's only £15 though, which is remarkably cheap. It makes me question if something bad will happen en route, but I guess we'll find out. For now, we rest. We passed the night here. As night fell, I made certain to repack and iron everything, to ensure everything was shipshape for our upcoming departure. And the next morning, we departed for Nanortalik. They'll bring all of our gear, no problem, and our Russian costume will keep us nice and warm, so let's go. The meteorological airship is a speedy thing indeed. We took cheap passage on a battered old airship, headed to pick up 3 months' worth of readings from a meteorological outpost on the southern tip of Greenland. Any chance of bears? I asked, voice wavering. The captain shot me a quizzical look. Polar bears, yes? And then chuckled outright at my obvious look of horror. Zut alors! The indignities I suffered upon this helter-skelter journey. What news have we? Norwegian minister dismisses cave-in fears over underground city. Interesting. Well, this is a fast airship. Hopefully there'll be a way out of this place. We reached the outpost as the blizzard outside intensified. I could barely see the compact buildings through the sleet. And I felt the airship was a safer haven than the little clutch of huts clinging to the ice, for all that it was on land and we were free-floating. The pilot's aim was true, either skill, practice, or luck, and the airship's hook caught the outpost's tether on the first try, pulling us into the waiting dock. Hopefully there's a way out of here that we can afford. You'll have to sleep here and explore in the morning. So it is. The outpost itself was a barren and cheerless place, apparently manned by a single hardy soul who kept watch over the instruments and recorded meticulous notes. What is this place called? I asked, teeth chattering. The pilot shrugged. It is simply the outpost. Who'd bother giving it a name? The person who lives here, I retorted. Nobody lives here. It's not fit to be someone's home, the pilot muttered. It's just a stop on the way to somewhere, even if you're the poor bastard who's hired to stop here for half a year. Speaking of which... The pilot opened an inner door and gestured for me to enter. Don't you wish to greet him first? I asked, surprised at his rudeness. He doesn't like our sort muddying up the place, he snorted. Better introduce yourself on your own, right? I stepped through and saw the outline of a man lit by the glow of a bank of instruments. It was none other than the artificer, Vitti Jokinen, whom I'd befriended on our expedition to the North Pole. Vitti! I cried with an eager grin. He turned, pale grey eyes widening in shock and recognition. Passepartout! What in the world are you doing here? I could ask the same of you, I laughed, though we are only stopping here briefly to refuel, unlike you. It was cowardice that drove me here, he admitted, turning his face to the console. I blamed myself for the Ice Walker's crash. I wished to run away from my guilt, but clearly I did not run far enough. Here you are! I am sorry to be a reminder of a disaster, I said carefully, though surely I am also a reminder of our survival. Time and solitude have helped me to untangle myself. Viddy gave me a rueful smile. I am truly glad to see you. With that, he invited me to share a cup of tea, and we spent a surprisingly pleasant few hours in conversation as the crew gathered the carefully recorded data and refueled the airship. New routes are discovered. Looks like we're going to Reykjavik after all. If we were to depart here, what is the schedule for this trip? It embarks at 10 a.m. Well, if we want to go today, we have to go now without exploring, and I think that may be the best option for us, because we want to try and make it in 60 days. That would be really cool. If we take this now, the Russian costume should make us survive more or less unharmed here. But I think we can afford to spend an extra day. Let's explore Nanortalik and see what happens. If we have to stay here a day, it's not the end of the world. We passed a little more time in that frozen outpost, but I have little more I wish to say about it. Well, that was a complete waste of time then. I was hoping there'd be something interesting there we could do with Viddy, but apparently there isn't. Alright, well that was an unfortunate little waste. Let's sleep, and then we'll go the next day. Another night, but my master was keen to leave. Well, I chose poorly. Let's embark. A meteorological airship it is. I'm glad we met up with Viddy again. Viddy came to watch our airship depart. "Good luck, Passepartout," he shouted. My response was likely stolen by the wind and snow, but I watched his thickly mittened hands waving goodbye till they disappeared into the blizzard. Fog said to have crossed the date line, but will extra day be enough? Oh yes. We drifted across the top of the world in relative silence. Below, wars were fought, hearts broken, curses uttered. Lives began and ended, but all we saw were the cresting waves and the endless drifting ice. I asked the captain for his thoughts, but he only shrugged. "This is home," he replied. "I've heard the rest of the world is a bit warmer. Perhaps one day I will go on holiday there." My master paced the narrow decks and said nothing. After so long, we were all but home. How small London would seem when we finally arrived, now that we had seen the world from this lofty height. Well, well. We've made it to Reykjavik. We're nearly home. The weather cleared as we neared our destination. The water of Faxaflói, I have no idea how to pronounce that, bay shone an impossibly bright blue underneath as the low, colorful buildings of Reykjavik swept along the curve of the shoreline. The past days of tumult and blizzard seemed almost a dream. You'll have to sleep here and explore in the morning. Hopefully we can make it there in 60 days. That would be a nice challenge. Reykjavik was a quiet town, with a few inhabitants, but still had the feeling of a bustling center of commerce. The flag of the Kingdom of Denmark fluttered above the trade hall, declaring this place an outpost, but of all the outposts, colonies, and adjuncts of great nations we had seen, it seemed the most comfortable in its skin. The comfort most likely derived from the natural hot springs which we tried out in an open area behind our hotel. Monsieur Fogg sat at one end and myself at the other, and we breathed in gulps of steam with a deep, satisfying sigh. The terrible Arctic plains suddenly seemed 1,000 years away. "They should fit these in Hyde Park," I exclaimed. Monsieur Fogg shook his head. "I think they are heated from underground thermals," he replied. "In London they would require coal, but in London there are better uses." I do believe it was the first time I ever heard him say, even in a roundabout fashion, that any place had its own elements of value. We were firmly back into our adventure once more, but I confess to feeling more glad to be alive than anything else. The Pole had been a bleak place, and I am quite sure another, only slightly different Fogg and Passepartout might have lost their lives there. Let's explore. Is there a route home? Straight to London? There is. Can we make it there in 4 days? I hope we can. It's time for us to depart. The Silver Seal only lets us take one bag and costs £1,800. Oh no! We can't afford the last trip home! We'll have to wait until the bank opens and see about getting a loan. We had done so well. Monsieur Fogg looked up from his ledger. We are due a visit to the bank, I think, Passepartout. I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a small affair, but efficiently looked after. We were quickly seen to. You wish to withdraw funds? We were told. I warn you, it may take some time. Well, $700 tomorrow would give us £1,500, which I think is what we need. We require £700, I said. The manager nodded. I will have to communicate with London first, of course, she apologized. I should have a reply tomorrow. It seems, Monsieur Fogg remarked as we left, we have some time to dispose of. Hope it wasn't £1,800. It was £1,800. Oh, good. Well, we're not going to make it in 60 days, but we'll deal. I can't go back to the bank now, so I guess we have to wait an extra day. No great loss. Before going to bed, I ran a few errands for the hotelier, earning £86 in fees and tips. Better than nothing. We'll skip forward, head to the bank, get our funds, and head back to the bank to get more funds. Still not enough, Monsieur Fogg declared. We must visit the bank once more. £700 tomorrow, please. Don't need to read that again. We've already just done it. Not my finest hour, but it would have taken the same amount of time, so I guess I can't complain. We made ourselves comfortable for the night, and I did some minor alterations to our clothing to better prepare ourselves for our inevitable departure. Our relations with Fogg improved, but I bet you we're going to have to wait yet another day to actually get on the airship home. Yep. Arrives Sunday, so we won't make it in 60 days. Could we make it today? That, will improve it slightly. It'll depart tomorrow now, which is better than nothing, but we've definitely missed an opportunity for a speedier exit here by just not having the money on hand. That's fine. Far under the 80 days limit. Far under. Alright, back to Reykjavik, where we will rest up. For tomorrow, we finish our adventure. For now, we sleep one more time. With what remained of the day, I polished our shoes and hat brims for the inevitable departure, as the next day, we embarked on the Silver Seal back to London. And so we're off. Unfortunately, we can't sell these things, we can just discard what we no longer wish to keep. So we have plenty of things to throw away. Down to one bag it is. What do you know? For now, we embark. Well, I just threw away all of our clothing, but we'll be fine. The Silver Seal was a jake imported from the Ottoman Empire. How long will it take? I asked the captain as we boarded. 3 days, he replied. Can't be done any faster. 3 days seemed like such a very long time, and I could see from Monsieur Fogg's expression that he thought as much as well. Well, well. Let's converse. Talk about the journey. You're into the body of our journey now. No, we're not. We're almost home. He's in roaring health. Very good. Nothing new to say to us. The ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one. There was nothing I needed to know, no one to charm, flatter, or beguile into giving us aid. There was only the wind and the time. And we could control neither. Passepartout, my master demanded. Make us go faster if you would. I went to talk to the boiler attendant. Faster, you say? It can be done, but it would destroy the engines. We want no risk, no danger. Then I promise you we will be in London in 2 more days. And our relations with Fogg have strengthened for the effort, even if his health is deteriorating over the travel. We're almost there. Monsieur Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm, and there was no reason to be concerned. We were safely within our 80-day window. I could not wait to stride into the Reform Club and claim our prize. I spent the remaining time embarking on the writing of this account, though I already found the details of our early adventures had grown vague and indistinct. Day 60, Monsieur Fogg murmured that night in his sleep, and still some distance yet to travel. Hardly. We arrive on day 61. We tethered at the airship dock in Hyde Park, and felt for the first time in 61 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. At long last we had returned to London, and in good time to win the wager. We arrived. 61 days. We got an achievement for 70 days. We just missed the 60 days achievement, which I'm sure exists. For now, our return is assured. I seized my master by the collar, and threw him into one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park. "There is no need for such unseemly haste, Passepartout," my master noted, but I was a man possessed. The carriage barely shuddered to a steam-hissing stop before I dragged my master from his seat and up the steps to the imposing doors of the Reform Club. I released him only when we reached the great saloon, where my master's 5 antagonists stood from their chairs, gasping in an attitude of great shock. Monsieur Fogg only straightened a little and said in his calm voice, "Gentlemen, here I am." The room erupted into cheers. Where had the crowd come from? Had they followed us inside from the street? I had scarcely noted them. I realized, as though a spell had suddenly broken, that my master had won his wager of £20,000. With the 4,000 we began with, the debt built up from banks along the way, and our remaining funds, it was a profit of over 14,000, hardly a meager sum. My heart began to beat again, and I saw for the first time the crowds who had forced their way into the club to witness the momentous occasion. A journalist in a dark blue bonnet caught my eye. "And you must be the loyal valet, Passepartout," she said. "How can you possibly know that?" I asked in surprise. "All of London has been feverishly following Phileas Fogg's progress in the papers." She swept her gaze over me and scribbled furiously in her notebook. "Your master will be tomorrow's headline, or I'll eat my hat." "I am quite overwhelmed," I admitted. "I'm not surprised," she agreed. "You should sit down." I pushed my way through to Monsieur Fogg, who had nearly been swallowed by the congratulatory crowds. "You have won the bet, monsieur," I told him, and seized my master by the hand and shook it, as though we were two equals, and not merely a master and a servant. Monsieur Fogg pressed my hand warmly, and did not remark even once upon the impropriety of my gesture. Indeed, though his cool gaze did not so much as waver or soften, I believe he welcomed the chance to shake my hand. "Any gentleman would be fortunate to call you his valet, and you have been a worthy companion to me besides," Monsieur Fogg said, and I knew that, from him, there could be no higher praise. "Mr. Fogg! Mr. Fogg!" the blue-bonneted journalist cried, interrupting our conversation. "What's next for the great adventure of Phileas Fogg and his loyal valet, Passepartout?" My master looked at me. I laughed like a maniac. "Perhaps we should do it again," I declared, "but this time going the long way." I looked around at the faces of the assembled crowd and quirked an eyebrow. "Anyone care to make a wager?" Monsieur Fogg refrained from rolling his eyes. "I believe," he said with great deliberation, "that tonight I will have supper and go to bed. Come, Passepartout. It grows late." "Yes, Monsieur Fogg," I said, and followed. Our journey round the world is complete. What do you know? Celebrated Englishman Phileas Fogg wins round-the-world wager. Journey completed in 61 days despite the sheer size of the world, Reykjavik diversion, and near-fatal polar expedition. And there we go. That was our journey. We traveled 12,224 miles. We used airships primarily. We made a great amount of money. We traveled 985 miles by land and 10,000 miles by air. Mystery travels also took us around other ways. It cost us just around £7,000. We were collected, remarkable, dependable, and comfortable. What do you know? We only visited 11 cities in our journey, though, despite all of our various travels. It's a very interesting thing indeed. What I also find interesting is that in the world map here, you can see all of my past journeys, or at the very least, the most recent one. Either way, hopefully you've enjoyed this adventure here around the world in 61 days. If you did, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. There's plenty more for you to explore here if this game seems like it interested you, so I recommend you check it out. It's available on Steam, and there's a link to it in the description below. And the world is certainly full of more adventures to be had. Either way, thank you again for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.